Here in our ongoing quest to uncover the meta decks in version 43, we've landed on the supports. Gladly, version 43.2 doesn't really change anything in the support department, so I give you the meta support deck. Marillus Action is a game and screen recorder that offers the lowest megabytes per frame, the lowest computer resource usage, and the highest FPS recording. Check the link in the video description to learn more. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Paragon Guide. I am Sylphin, where we are taking a look here at the meta support deck. And that's what it is right here for melee or carry. Melee or ranged supports, doesn't matter. Really, it was just, there's a couple cards that you just need as a support, and that was pretty much about it. That was the support deck. So in the gem department, you actually don't go too far into either tree. You do go into knowledge just a bit for the mana. It is important. A lot of supports obviously have good mana usage, so you kind of go in there a little bit. And experienced, I did see that on a lot of supports, quite a few. Just I think to help with getting that experience, kind of getting back up in terms of hero level, because since you are at a deficit, rotating a lot, letting your carry, splitting it between you and your carry, that really helps. The auto shield, again, don't underestimate it. Really strong in the early game, and even in the late game as a support. You won't be that great in the economy department. The little bit of shield goes a long way. Next, you have a quick exit. Again, very powerful to get back into lane, to get back to a hero that needs your help from base, to go back to heal up before a objective. Don't underestimate that. Mana reactor, since you use a lot of mana, you can definitely get that mana back, especially if you're a melee support. Seem to use a lot more mana than ranged, kind of. So the mana reactor really is strong, since you do get kind of tanky as you go deep into vitality. Then you have damage return. Kind of return that damage, as some supports are focused pretty heavily. That'll just kind of help in that department. And reflexive purify, so you can get out of sticky situations. You have some amazing things purified off of you, as 300 damage isn't very much. That will really proc quite often. So those are the gems. Now, in terms of the cards, it was really quite linear, to be honest with you. Lamplighter, absolutely no-brainer for those wards you can get in the early game. You can get one or two of these because you do get your full-time wards, your protective sentry, quite a bit, quite early. So Lamplighter usually only get once or twice, but those once or twice really important. Then you get Chanting Shaman, really helps. That mana regen is very powerful. You and your support, or you and your carry, does proc that. So I mean, you get tremendous sustain. It's really good. Coinmaster as a support, depending on the scenario of what your lane dynamic looks like. Either you'll be really passive and this will work really well, or if you're very aggressive, you still get some gold gain that really does help. So Coinmaster, really good on sports, as you're not going to be too economically, you're not going to be an economic powerhouse. Then you go straight into Protective Sentry as soon as you can. I guess you can go into Radiant Healer as a first card if it's like an Iggy, if it's an Iggy and Scorch off lane, for example, or really high harass. You can go for Radiant Healer, but really you want Protective Sentry as fast as possible. But again, Radiant Healer with Lamplighters along the way, really not too bad. Just gotta be careful. Use your Lamplighters carefully. You start getting them, you're getting a lot of them, and that's like, attribute points that you could have had, which delays a lot of other things. You just got to be careful. Green Spring is here as a transition card. Once you get your Protective Sentry, and once you have your Radiant Healer, etc., then you can get a Green Spring. Green Spring, just for a little bit of tankiness. A basic armor goes a long way in the early game, and that health regen for some good sustain on the battlefield. Again, Radiant Healer, we've talked about, really strong card, and Protective Sentry. You keep this for the entire game. Protective Sentry, you do not get rid of this. These wards are really powerful. And if you're really spot on with your wards, you can usually have one for an engagement. If you're sieging a tower or defending a tower, you can actually just put the ward right there, and it really helps with if there's a Kalari or a Wraith or stuff like that. And that 12 basic armor, I have absolutely noticed that that armor swing the tide of battle. To be honest with you, I'm pretty sure I can say that. I feel pretty confident saying that. It goes a long way. Do not hesitate to put down your Protective Sentry in the battlefield. It really does work. Brilliant Fortification is here if you want to go into well, you want to go into knowledge to get that experience gem, but once Radiant Healer stops being relevant, then you can just get rid of it, but spend 1,000 gold to get Brilliant Fortification. It gives you power, not too bad, but that does synergize well with somebody like Richter, if you're a Richter support or a Steel support, and the mana regen, obviously for using abilities, this is really well, and of course that passive does really help. All allied structures are immune to damage for 7 seconds. You can use that every 90 seconds. There's some really cool plays I've seen with Protective Fortification. You know, a team really commits to taking down a tower. Maybe they are tanking the tower. It's situations like that where you can use this. Totally thwart that. Totally thwart any advantage that the enemy team that had, and they're trying to extract some sort of, you know, siege advantage. It's really good plays for Brilliant Fortification. Then Malink's Grace. There's a lot of other good support cards in here, but this one I've been seeing, especially in the PML, almost solely, like just Malink's Grace, for two reasons. Because it's a little bit of knowledge. You don't want to go into knowledge too much, but it's a lot of vitality, which you do want in this tank meta, and just to stay alive as a support, to save you and your allies. Plus, the active synergizes well with the fact that you're going to be getting lots of health. So Malink's Grace, shield yourself and target ally for 25% of your maximum health for 3 seconds. That's really powerful, especially on tanky supports. Richter, Narbash, who's not too tanky in the base health department. Steel. Malink's Grace works really well because you can just single out you and your carry and save their butts. 25% of your max health. That is a lot when you're talking about 1,500 health. That's a good shield. If you can use it well, especially on like a Muriel. Yesterday I was playing in Malink's Grace. Oh my goodness. My shields plus Malink's Grace plus Malink's Prayer. Oh boy, works really well. Malink's Prayer is something that I get eventually once, especially once Radiant Healer. I don't really get Brilliant Fortification too much, but once Radiant Healer kind of comes off, once it starts becoming not too viable, then I use that knowledge to get Malink's Prayer, as it doesn't take too much more knowledge and doesn't take too much vitality. Malink's Prayer, it's okay. The 275 health definitely drops off, but that basic armor does really go a long way. Again, and it's all nearby allies that were healed by it. I think it's underestimated, seriously underestimated. Plus that health and that basic armor goes a long way on somebody like Muriel, who can already absorb burst damage, which requires ability armor. And this provides basic armor for that more sustained damage that somebody like Muriel can't really deal with. Or even just phase. I mean, it works well with phase 2. As long as she can somehow mitigate that burst, basic armor will help with that prolonged damage, which she can already basically kind of counteract with her health regen. Speaking of health regen and phase, Vital Waters, that's why this card is in here. Not only is it a good tanky card, the health regen, and that passive will amplify your base health regen that you're already getting through your ton of health regen, through your tons of vitality. It's actually much more of a tanky card than you might think. Once you increase your base healing, that will be greatly increased with the health regen on Vital Waters. It actually ends up being a lot of damage mitigation. If you're getting 25, 30, 35 health regen every second, that is 25, 30, 35 damage you can absorb every second. And that's actually a fair amount. Don't underestimate the health regen in this post version 42 world. Health regen is actually much more powerful than people think. So Vital Waters, that's their really key card here for a support phase. The next card, it should come to no surprise for you, Unbroken Spirit. Obviously, very powerful. It provides some power, so somebody like a Steel and a Richter, I mean, they become a fair bit more scary, plus that health, plus the ability armor, plus obviously that passive for all this crowd control that is very powerful in today's meta. Yeah, so even if you put this on a phase, that reactive regeneration passive goes through your link to your target. So really, if they try to focus you down as a phase, and you know you're linked to your support or your melee carry, or you're linked to your range carry or your melee carry, like it's just kind of like helping. Like you get extra value from it. Really, really powerful. Yes, it takes agility, but it's just so valuable, you don't really care. So there you go. And I threw in here Godmother Vigilant. If you happen to it's a really long game and you have the economy, you can throw on Godmother Vigilant just simply for that tankiness. As a support, that's what you need. You need tankiness to body block, to absorb shots, absorb spells, stuff like that. It has power, great on the more combo-oriented supports. Health, great for everybody, and mana, great for any support. And of course, the percent health increase passive that you really care about. You're not going to use that elevate passive. Absolutely phenomenal. So there you guys go. That is the meta support deck. Really, it hinges, to be honest with you, it hinges around Protective Sentry that you absolutely have to have 100% of the time, no questions asked. As a support, this is mandatory. Quoted Sylphin, October 2017. Write that down, record it, play it for people, because I will stand by that 100%. You need this card, period, Protective Sentry, as a support. Even as a mid laner, actually. If you're an order mid laner for a Stagnant Dominion, get Protective Sentry, just do it. It's, I mean, mana regen. Great, awesome, it's cheap. Get it. Malink's Grace, very powerful, especially once you're all the way up there in Vitality to get Unbroken Spirit. Yeah, that synergizes very well. Or if you want to remove Unbroken Spirit for something like Godmother to even emphasize Malink's Grace really a lot, then you can do that. And that's kind of what I saw. I saw a lot of Protective Sentry, Malink's Grace into something like Malink's Prayer, but a lot of the time they just didn't have the economy to go much farther than that to get Vital Waters, Unbroken Spirit, Godmother Vigilant. So most of the time these supports are running around with Protective Sentry, something like Malink's Grace, and like a Green Spring, usually not a Radiant Healer at that point, something like that. Maybe they had Malink's Prayer on, or they had sacrificed some of those cards to have Protective Sentry and something like an Unbroken Spirit. Stuff like that. Support's kind of in a weird place right now, but there you guys go. That is a support deck. I use this on Muriel, Richter, Steel. I haven't played Steel support yet. Phase support I use this deck with. It's really strong. It's solid. That's really all you need. Supports. You have to change your mindset when you play support, because you have to use your kit in a different way as a support. Obviously, that's what supports are all about. So with this deck, you cover all your bases as a support, and it just really comes down to execution, to be honest with you. And that's kind of what makes support fun, to be honest with you, because yeah, you get your key foundations, vision, maybe a shield or two, some tankiness, and then it all comes down to execution. That's, I think, what makes support really fun. Amazon is the tried and true way of shopping for anything you need or want at the lowest prices. Support the channel at no cost to you by doing your Amazon shopping through the link in the video description. So, ladies and gentlemen, please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, and of course, guys, subscribe if you guys like this content, especially if you found it useful. Especially, please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future. I have a ton of content coming out on this October. It's looking jam-packed, so with a huge patch coming next week. Certainly hope so, but they've said it is. There's going to be a lot of content, so please subscribe if you guys found it useful. And of course, check the video description for all links to my website, my decks, merchandise store, Amazon affiliate link, where you can do your shopping. Kind of help me out as you do so. Doesn't cost you anything. So there you guys go. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.